Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Malika Gardner. I am the founder and CEO of MCG Service LLC. The purpose of today's video is to actually share with you how to apply for your broker's license to own your own agency. When I was actually trying to do this on my own, I found it very difficult. I didn't see any videos or tutorials online on how to do the actual application. So I figured it would be a good opportunity to actually come on here and do this, because I know a lot of people that want to take the next step, they just don't know how to do it sometimes, but it's really not hard once you follow the steps. Now, I've taken all the hard work out of finding the information and figuring it out, so I can come on here and show you how to do that. Before I do that, I'm going to actually go through with you with all the information I gathered here on my little sticky notes. So don't mind me if you see me looking away. I'm actually trying to read exactly what I wrote down, the notes I took on how to do this. So I'm going to go over how to apply for the license, what you will need to do in order to be able to apply for the license, and the cost of applying for the license. Without further ado, first thing I'm going to go through is what you need. So the first thing that you need is to have an EIN number. EIN numbers can be applied for through the IRS website. The EIN number is kind of like having a social security number, but it's for your business, or it may be for a trust. So this is very personal for you, so don't share with everybody. Apply for the EIN number, it's free. The next thing you will need is you'll need to form your LLC. In order to form your LLC, you will need the EIN number, and you also need to have a business license for the city you plan to transact business in. So for the LLC, you'll need to apply for that through the Secretary of State website. Once you're approved, then you can move on to the next step. So the next step is to actually get your fingerprints done. If you are living out of state and you want to apply to another state, such as California, they may require for you to have your fingerprints done. The cost of doing your fingerprints ranges from about $49 to $59 just for the government fees. The rolling fees may vary, so wherever you go, it may vary. If you go to, say, the sheriff department, it may be cheaper there, but you may have to wait a little bit longer to get an appointment. Now, if you go directly to a LifeScan site, it may be a little bit up on the higher end, depending on where you go. But on average, I would say about $76, the sweet spot is for the cost of doing something like that. The next thing you'll need is to have your E&O insurance. E&O insurance can be quite pricey depending on where you go, what companies you apply for your E&O insurance through. You will need this because once you complete the whole application process, you will need to upload some documents, that being one of them. The price varies from about $300 to $1,000 and maybe $1,500, depending on how much coverage you want to have. The purpose of this E&O insurance is to protect the public from any damages that you may cause from writing a policy, such as a life insurance policy, that you didn't know was written in the wrong way, or the client comes back and sues you because they thought you sold them a $1 million policy, when in essence you sold them a $100,000 policy. So that's what this E&O insurance does for you. It protects the public, and it also protects you and your business. The same thing with an LLC. The LLC protects you as an individual, because you're an individual before you are an entity. So this protects all your assets. So it protects your house, your cars, all that good stuff. Most insurance companies, if not a lot of them, they want you to have an entity, because I tried to apply to a couple of companies earlier this year, and they told me they're not willing to work with individuals anymore because of the liability that comes with doing so. So they want you to be protected so that they don't have to worry about that. So you need your E&O insurance. You may need a bond depending upon what application you may be doing. So you may need a bond, so that may be a requirement. Your letter of commitment, and also your name approval. So these two things, depending on what funnel you use, you will need to apply to get your name approved. So you may have your own LLC name. Like for example, I am MCG Service LLC, but I need to have my name approved by the California Department of Insurance so I can transact business with the name they approved me for. So they may approve you for a different name than your LLC, and you will need to use that name on your application. So you apply for your name, your business name for the Department of Insurance. Once it's being approved, then you can go ahead and take the next step in doing your application. So your letter of commitment is something you're gonna need to type up. It's basically saying that you're gonna use the name that they actually gave you, and you're not gonna solicit your business for insurance with your own LLC or something that's not being approved. Because most times what happens is a lot of people, sometimes they have someone else that may be MCG Service, and they're using that name to transact business, and then you now, because your LLC is called MCG Service, and they're using MCG Service Insurance, and then you go ahead and try to use that in the future for your business, then that is a conflict of interest right there. So you need to have those items before you can actually take the next step. Once you do that, you can go and apply for your license through different carriers that work with the Department of Insurance. And what they do is basically you fill out your information to them. They're the middleman between you and the Department of Insurance. You submit everything, your payments and everything, it goes through them, and it goes directly to the Department of Insurance. They respond back to you within 10 business days and with an approval or something you need to work on. Once that is done, if you're approved and everything is good, then you can start applying to different companies, given that you already have everything in place. The next thing is the cost. So I went over the cost. EIN number is free. LLC is $75. Don't go out there and try to find a company that's going to charge you $200-300 when you're an entrepreneur just trying to start up like myself. Don't do that, because every penny counts. If you can just follow the steps in doing that, there's a lot of videos on here on YouTube how to apply for your LLC. You just follow those tutorials and read, take your time to read. Right now we're in a pandemic, so this is a good time to work on your certs, to actually get information, learn new things, so that when things open back up, you have this wealth of knowledge that you can share with your customers, because the wealth of knowledge that you have is what people pay for in experience. Okay, let's see here. The last cost, I would say, did I go over the E&O? No. E&O insurance, it varies. So there's different companies out there. You just have to do your due diligence in researching. It may vary from $300 all the way up to $1,500, depending on how much coverage you want for your business. But the requirement for an LLC in the state of California, the minimum requirement is $500,000. So if you can get a E&O insurance for $500,000, then you'll be fine, because that's a minimum requirement. I would encourage getting $1 million if possible, because a lot of people, they're not just suing you for $500,000. They're suing you $500,000 plus anything else your business is worth. Okay? Now the application, once you submit the application, the cost of that is $445. And I'll show you guys a proof, because when I did this application the first time and I got to the I don't know if it's a pre-cost, I don't know how to explain that, but the cost before the final cost, when I saw the final cost, I was like, what happened? I just saw $300 and something and went from that to $400 and something. But then I realized it may be taken into account the amount of license you're applying for, or the amount of authority that you're applying for. So for example, if you're applying for life, if you're applying for property and broker agent, if you're applying for accidental health, then all of that comes into play. So when I started off this application process, I started with Circon because I thought since I've been using Circon for a long time, it'll be a lot much more easier. But then I realized it was a lot much more tedious for me because I did not understand the application. It was my first time doing it. So I just went ahead and used NIPR to submit my application. The individuals that I got on the phone, they're a lot more helpful with NIPR because they had a little bit more experience in what I was trying to get accomplished versus those on Circon. They would refer me back to the Department of Insurance, and to get a response back when you make a phone call to them is 3 days turnaround time for them to call you back and answer that one question. So that slows down the whole process for me. So I just went ahead and did NIPR. So right now I'm going to jump into the application, a little bit of Circon, a little bit of NIPR. You can choose whichever makes you much more comfortable. And I'm also going to share with you a couple of other vendors that you can use to do the application, because all you're doing is just submitting it through them. They submit it to the Department of Insurance and the answer comes back to you through them. All right, so let me see here. I just want to make sure I am recording still. Oops. I don't think it's gonna let me go through. See? Okay, so I'm gonna hop on NIPR's website and I'm gonna do the same steps so you can actually see how much more easier and quicker it is. Let me go down, pull this down here really quickly and go to, there's an NIPR right here. What is that, the website I'm looking for? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I believe I had that open. I'm just gonna get this. Okay, licensing, so you're gonna go to licensing, apply for license. Okay. Now, if you're a resident, you choose resident. If you're a non-resident, you choose non-resident. In my sense, I'm a resident. Go to application. Sometimes they save your information for your application that you did. So let's say you started your application like a few weeks ago, because that's how I completed mine, that I submitted. I started it, then I said, let me go back to Circon and see if I can figure it out through Circon, because I've been using Circon for everything else. So I said, let me see if it's gonna work. And it didn't work for Circon, so I came back to this. And then I saw that it actually saved my application from the previous time. Now, when you go to this website, to NIPR's website, and you choose licensing, you're gonna go directly to business entity, because that's what you're applying for. Now, you're gonna put in your EIN number here. So let's write an EIN number right here, right here. Next. That's right now. Okay. Now, start or resume. So this gives you the option to resume, but I'm going to start an application. So you're going to choose producer licensing. You're going to choose add line of authority. Resident or non-resident, no home state. So I guess if you're not living in a set state and you move around a lot, then you choose that. Okay, and then you're going to choose a state that you're applying for the license in, which in this sense, it is in California. So if you lived in, say, Alabama and you're applying for the license in California or New York, then you would choose a state you're actually applying for the license in. Okay, you're gonna click next, unless any of these apply to you. So residence, lines, broker agent, or credit insurance agent. So if you're applying for one of those, then you go ahead and do that. Oh, I think I forgot to click on that. Okay, so you're gonna click on the lines of authority that you're applying for. So like in CERCON's website, I chose life and health, accident and health. I keep saying, leaving out the accident. Then I chose this one and that one. You add those in, and if you had a FINRA ID and you wanted to apply your FINRA, then you could do that for the variable contracts. Now you continue. Next. So see, here it shows you for these lines of authority, it's gonna be 381. But watch when you when you complete the application, you make it all the way to the very end, it's actually gonna change. So let's continue. Business type is limited liability company. Business name, MCG Service, business entity name, MCG Service LLC. Incorporation date, just write an incorporation date, choose something. I'll just go with whatever the computer is populating right now. And the state you're applying, it's incorporated in California. Is this entity affiliated with the bank? No. Next. Okay. Miss any assume fictitious alias or trade name for which your current, let me see here. Is any other assumed fictitious alias or trade names under which you are currently doing business or intend to do business? So here you would put in firm name is whatever is being approved. So MCG, tax and insurance. Okay. And then that's your DBA, doing business as. Now you're gonna click next. Now here's the fun part that we had to like physically fill in each address, your business address, your mailing address. This is one thing I like about NIPR. They take the steps, take some of the steps to work out of doing some of these steps. So same as mailing address, you just put in your mailing address. Let's say my mailing address is that. I'm gonna put that in. Then I'm gonna scroll down, click next. Your business phone number. So let's say my business phone number is this. And then if you have a fax number, you put that in. Same thing as CERCON. All right. So your email address, Gupta at gmail.com. All right. Next. Okay. Identify at least one designated responsible license for the business entity compliance with it. Okay. So this is where you're going to add in yourself. Okay. Since you're the one that actually owns this business and you're going to be responsible for managing it. Now, I'm going to pause here because this is going to require that you put in your social. Now you can put in your national producer's number as an optional thing. So I'm not gonna put in my social, but everything else is pretty much straightforward. So like how we on the previous website, CERCON, for here, it's gonna ask you for the owners, the partner, officers. So you're just gonna fill out whatever applies to you. So for the owner, you're gonna put in yourself, your name, how much percentage of ownership you own. And I believe it may ask you for individual, like yourself. You can just put it in yourself. Like it did for CERCON's website, just put in yourself, your percentage of ownership, separate from the owners. So owners, partners, if you don't have any partners, officers, anything like that, don't put that. Then it's gonna ask you some basic questions. For the background questions, most of them, they're just about convictions, felonies, if you've ever had any of that. You're gonna fill that out. All the questions are no except for one of them. So it's quite tricky. Only one of them should be yes. And It's gonna just ask you for payment information at the very end. So questions, payment information, how you plan to pay. Once you pay, it's gonna give you your transaction number. Your transaction number is gonna be emailed to you the following day. Let me see if I have that still pulled up in here. So this is the receipt that they gave me. Let me see if this has the transaction number. Let me just show you the receipt before I show you the transaction number. So this is a receipt of the amount that it costs, $445. So in here, they charged me a state fee plus, before you see $381, I believe, when we were doing the application, but now we're seeing $445. So that's why I tell you, the price in the beginning may not be the price in the very end, because they charge you other miscellaneous fees depending upon how many lines of authority you're applying for. Okay, all right, so here it is. When it comes to your email, it's gonna show, it's gonna look like this, and you're gonna have your transaction number. You're gonna need this transaction number here in order to link your application to your documents you're gonna upload. So I'm gonna run through the documents that you're gonna actually upload really quickly. So when you're uploading these documents, depending on what state you're in, you're gonna email them to the Department of Insurance. And the email you're gonna send it to, if you're in California, I had it up here, but it's license.ca. Let me see, I have it in here. Let's see, right here. So license, I made sure I take notes on everything. So license document at insurance.ca.gov. So that's where you're gonna email everything to once you are through with everything. So you're gonna send them your E&O insurance, your letter of commitment and bond if required, your transaction number for the application so they can link your documents to the application. And once you're through with that, you're gonna wait about up to 10 business days for them to respond back to you. So in the meantime of you setting up your application, you're waiting for them to send you back this year, which takes literally the next day, you should be searching for E&O insurance if you have not already done so. But if you've already done so, then you got a green light to go. So you just have to upload everything and wait for the process to just check, just basically go through. With that said, I think this is the end of this video. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and share this with somebody that you know could actually benefit from this, because I know a lot of us struggle with this, or when we don't know how to do things, and it discourages us. So take the time to actually do the application. Once you are finished with the application, the next step is to just apply to different companies and get approved with them. And once you're approved with them, then you're pretty much in agreeing to start making money, start changing your life. And I just want to wish you guys all the best of success with doing that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get more updated videos of things I'm going to be talking about. I'll be speaking about business. I'll be talking about financing and just entrepreneurship. With that said, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.